Hey everyone, want to talk today about your neighbor. So let's just start it off with, do you know your neighbor? I think a lot of people, might know one or two, or at least they know maybe a random name or what house the person lives in if they saw them randomly on the street or something like that, right? But maybe not necessarily further than that. Maybe they're not trusting of their neighbor, and maybe they don't trust them. Maybe they trust some of them, only the ones they know, or something like that, right? If some type of emergency were to happen, they probably wouldn't necessarily go to their neighbor for help, right, to assist them with the emergency or stuff like that. And I think all of those are very indicative of what your current state is, your current, friendship relationship with your neighbor is. I'm not saying that's necessarily a right or wrong answer, but I would say I'm going to challenge you later on, like, that you should change that, right? I think it is variant upon you. Say your personality. If you're a little more outgoing or you're an introvert, it's going to be dependent on if you know your neighbor or not, right? Or all of the neighbors or none of them, right? If you're a little more trusting or not, that's going to vary, right? If you live in an apartment complex in the city, there's more chance of you to get to know at least one neighbor or a couple, because there's more people in your immediate little area, right? Compared to maybe out in the city or just in a townhome or at a cul-de-sac, with a few houses or things like that. But none of those are wrong, because that's just how it is for you, right? The big thing is, I think a lot of people don't talk about the neighbors more in depth with what you can do for them and what they can do for you, when it comes to whether it's your health and well-being, your safety, your security, or your home defense plans, right? Everyone's heard back a long time ago, forever ago, like, you'll go across to the neighbor and ask them for a cup of sugar or something like that, right? I think nowadays, I don't think many people are doing that necessarily. They'd much rather just drive to the grocery store to buy a big container that they don't need it immediately than go across, the street for a cup of sugar or something like that. But I think that's something that's a little silly and colloquial from old times, that we can look further into about other things, right? Like, if my car battery is dead and I need to get to work, or I need to get to the school to pick up the kids or things like that, I need a jump. And if I can't do it myself, and am I calling my friends, a coworker, a family, or something that's far away, or am I able to, go back upstairs next door and knock on the door and be like, "Hey, so and so, can you give me a car jump? I need to get to work. Thanks. Okay, yep, no worries. I'll wait for you to put a jacket on," or something like that, right? Just that alone is a huge difference, compared to friendly little waves as you walk past each other or something like that on the street. I think, that's a simple thing. That's more of a well-being thing. And there's other things that just as general niceties that you can do. If you can ask them, "Hey, I'm going to be at work late tonight. I got an Amazon package. Can you watch for it? And can you just grab it? Make sure that no one else is, taking it," or something like that, right? Can you grab that for me? Or, "Hey, I'm going to be out of town. Can you water my plants that are around my porch?" Or, "Can you, check on my dogs?" or different things like that, right? Like, developing a little bit more relationship, maybe even giving them a spare key, right? Then go inside and make sure everything's good. Or, maybe you rushed out for the day for work and you forgot to close the door completely, it didn't latch, or even more, you didn't lock it, right? Maybe they're leaving later and they see it's cracked and they just close it for you. Or they knock and, "Hey, are you here?" "Oh, they're not here." "Okay, I'll close it." If you develop a relationship a little further, they've got a spare key, they can then lock it for you as well, right? Those are all things that you can kind of ask them, or on very low level, that they'll do for you. And then there's more things in depth, I would say, that if you've developed a relationship with them, well, they are going to be more on the lookout for you and for your safety. And what do I mean by that, right? So if they've seen mail pile up, or the trash bin is still at the end of the driveway and hasn't been taken back to the garage or something for a few days now, or whatnot, they might go and knock on the door, check on you, see if you're okay, give you a text or a call if they know your number, which is another thing. I don't think a lot of neighbors probably know each other's numbers anymore, right? So there's something like that. Like, they're a little more active in making sure, like, are you okay, or things like that. And that can play into other things, right? If, it's, someone that stays at home during the day or something like that, maybe they will be on lookout and see, like, "Hey, that's I don't know that maintenance company, like that's a random company and a weird looking van. Like, what are they doing out front the neighbor's house? Like, why are they're like looking in the windows and things like that? That's kind of weird. Give you a call. Hey, do you have so and so? Okay, or go out and talk to them and see, hey, what's going on here? Something that's simple and easy, right? Or furthermore, if you've got the kids out playing in the yard and someone randomly comes by, they might be more prone to go out and be the adult presence and make sure nothing's going on. Or, you know, if they see something even further, they're going to call the police or respond themselves even more aggressively, right? But that's something that isn't, I would say, going to happen a lot if you haven't developed a relationship with your neighbor, right? At the same time, you know, in the middle of the night, your phone is dead and for some reason there's a medical emergency or something like that, you being able to go and bang on the door and scream for help, and they will actually come and respond and help with whatever that might need, you know, car ride, calling the police themselves, or helping respond in some other, you know, aspect through a threat or something like that, is, I'd say, a lot more dependent on you developing a relationship with them or not. There's going to be those different people that will just be on the lookout for you in general. They're going to help you just in general. Again, that's their personality, you know, difference. Like, they're going to help or they might not. But there's going to be a more, I would say, a higher percentage, if we just want to think statistics, right? There's going to be a higher percentage chance that they will be there for you if you've actually developed a relationship more than just a friendly wave, maybe a first name basis, and you know they've got a cat, right? I had an example where I had a neighbor come across the street and they knocked on the door for something, and it wasn't super early, but I think it was maybe like 9 or something like that, and I was coming in, hair was a little disheveled, throwing on a shirt, and see that as I opened the door, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. I know you work nights." I think at that time I'd only been living where I was living maybe 2 weeks or so, so that neighbor had already caught on the fact that I work nights, right? And I hadn't lived there long. That's the thing. Like, something as simple as that, then your neighbors know like something's weird or off with your routine if something else is changed, right? It's something that you didn't have to develop, but if you develop it further, they will be more willing to help you with things that are going to happen, or more be on the lookout, right? All of us have different types of neighbors. All of us they all have different personalities, right? You've got your nosy neighbor that's just all in everyone's business, wanting to know things, wanting to gossip, wanting to put it on the neighborhood Facebook page or whatever, right? There's, you know, the shy neighbor that, you know, maybe is, you know, someone that's just moved into this area and they are kind of kept to themselves or stuff for that, being able to develop that. Or, you know, someone that you can't get through to them, like, no, I'm not going to go on a date with you, but still be able to develop relationships so that they can help you in another aspect, just like they would maybe need help from you. Some people, it's just how they were raised or where they live or different things of that. Community aspect is huge. For other people, I'd say it's not really a thing that's even in the back of their head to think about. But I would challenge you, when it comes to knowing your neighbors, there's a lot more that can be involved with that than just being able to be like, oh, sweet, now maybe we know enough of our neighbors, we'll have a neighborhood block party or something like that, right? And we'll all match and coordinate, you know, decorations for some holiday or something like that. Like, there will be a lot more in depth to your safety, to your well-being, to everything if you actually develop the relationship. So that's what I'm going to challenge to you. Get to know your neighbor, because in the end, it could be for the aspect of bettering your reactive defense.